Here's your host, Brian Fisher.
Hi, welcome back to Focal Point AFR Talk, a second hour of this Friday edition, Free for All Friday. We'll take your calls at 888-589-8840. Talk about anything you want, 888-589-8840. Glad to have you call. Rob, we can grab clip number 7 on the Second Amendment. Our last caller was asking us about the Second Amendment. And Martin Bashir has been an adamant proponent of gun control. And I want to make one more comment about the Second Amendment before we play that Martin Bashir clip. That was a phrase that, frankly, I had just overlooked for so long, referring to the militia being necessary to the security of a free state. We read about the militia. What's the militia? We know from the founders that the militia was the whole body of the people. So the militia was not the National Guard. We tend to think of the militia, oh, yeah, that's the National Guard. No, it's not. It's the whole body of the people. So the point of the founders, we want the whole body of the people to be armed so that if necessary, they can form a militia. They can come together and they can be trained and they can prepare to serve as a militia. Why do you need a militia? Why do you want the people to keep and bear arms? So that they have the capacity to come together and form a militia, because a militia is necessary for the security of a free state with a capital S. Each one of the 13 individual states had to have the capacity militarily to protect their security from aggression from a tyrannical power, whether it was their own central government, whether it was a neighboring state, or whether it was a foreign government. A militia was necessary to the security of a free state, referring to the 13 individual states, and therefore the right of the people was not to be infringed. Now, another thing struck me that I had not noticed before, that word people is critically important. Remember that what the 10th Amendment says, the powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution nor prohibited by it to the states are reserved to the states respectively or to the people. Don't miss that. If the Constitution doesn't grant a power of action to the federal government, and you can find out what those are by looking at Article 1, Section 8, if the Constitution does not grant a power of action to the federal government, those powers of action are reserved for two entities, not just the state. They are reserved to the states respectively or to the people. So the point the founders made, there are certain rights that do not even belong to the states. They are rights that belong to the people, meaning that not even the states have the legal or moral or constitutional authority to take those rights away from the people. The right to keep and bear arms is one of those rights. It is a right that is guaranteed by the Constitution not to the states, but to the people. So this is a right that not even the states have the moral or constitutional authority to abridge in any way. Now, here is Martin Bashir. He doesn't want you and me to have guns, but listen to this conversation. He's talking to a Texas Democrat who has a mural that keeps getting graffitied, keeps getting defaced. And Martin Bashir is talking to this Texas Democrat about this mural of Barack Obama that keeps getting vandalized. Let's listen.
Thinking of your willingness to protect this mural, Mr. Davis, we also know that in addition to your support for the president, you support the First Amendment and you also support the Second Amendment. And we have a picture of you with a weapon. I believe it's an AR-15 over your shoulder. Now, sir, I have to ask you, would you consider using a weapon like that on someone who was prepared to deface a painting?
Well, Martin, in this instance, as in all of the incidents that I may encounter, my preference is to not have to use any violence, any guns, anything of that nature. This time we were able to apprehend, I was restraining the young man, or the gentleman, I should say, by hand. And it is not my desire to bring violence into this world or into this city or into this nation, but it is in my opinion, it is the right thing to do to defend myself.
So, so Martin Bashir doesn't want you to have guns to defend yourself or your family or your loved ones, but he brings up the possibility that maybe this guy might want to use the dreaded AR-15. That's the sporting rifle. That's the one they call an assault weapon, a military-style rifle. Might want to use it to protect his mural. So apparently for Martin Bashir, using a gun to protect yourself and your loved ones, not okay. Using an AR-15 to protect a wall painting is A-OK. Let's grab a couple of phone calls. Let's go to Tony in Paducah. Tony in Paducah, welcome to Focal Point. What's on your mind?
Hey, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good to talk to you, sir.
Thank you.
I just have a couple of little comparisons to make. They're making such an issue out of the 30-round magazine that goes in these Armalite style rifles and all the AR-15s. And they're saying, who needs one? Why do we need a 30-pack of beer? Why do we need 20 cigarettes in a pack? That kills a lot more people per year than a magazine out of a rifle.
Mm-hmm.
That just, if they're making a mockery of this whole thing, if they were really serious, they'd be like, we don't need a 30-pack of beer.
Right.
That's going to get somebody
Why
killed.
are they selling them in 30 packs? One's enough.
Exactly.
Yeah, we'll just sell you one at a time. Or 24 a 24-pack of Dr. Pepper. What do you need that for? Why do you need that many? So
that'll hurt you. That's dangerous.
Yeah, and you buy pens by the pack. You don't need that many pens. What are you doing buying so many pens? How about buying one at a time? All right, that's a good call, Tony. I appreciate that. And I read a story earlier this week about these 3D printers now. This is amazing. I saw a video. It was on the Washington Post website about how these 3D printers, it's an amazing technological innovation. These 3D printers can actually print out a high-capacity magazine made out of very hard plastic. You can print it out. You can watch it right there on the video, printing out this high-capacity magazine. So the thought that you're going to be able to pass a law and these things are simply going to go out of existence is just absurd. People are going to be able to print them at home on a 3D printer. Plus, there are millions and millions and millions of these that are out there. They can be bought on eBay. They can be sold. They can be traded. They can be shared. There's just no possible way you're going to get rid of all these high-capacity magazines. And if you pass a law, the only people that might be inclined to obey that law would be the very people now that are going to be put at a disadvantage because the bad guys may come at them with a high-capacity magazine. They don't have one, so they are now at a disadvantage. And my good friend Clayton Kramer made the point that when you had the riots in L.A. over the Rodney King deal, you had a lot of these Korean shopkeepers. They sat out in front of their stores with AR-15s with high-capacity magazines. And it actually saved lives because the Korean shopkeepers did not have to shoot at anybody. They shot a warning shot in the air. That got people's attention, so they made a wide berth. He didn't even have to shoot at anybody. If he's only got 2 or 3 rounds, he may not even be able to fire a warning shot, which might tempt somebody to come at him, and he might have to shoot him. So the fact that you had this high-capacity magazine actually saved lives. Focal Point, AFR Talk.